latest intermediate school news.
Hello, this is Channel WRRS bringing you the latest intermediate school news. Today is May 3rd, 2024, and today is Lunch Hero Day. I'm Lila Davis. Why was Ivan sent to Zoo Atlanta? There were a number of reasons. Zoo Atlanta had already established a team in the care and study of western lowland gorillas, and had already been successful in socialization of a longtime solitary gorilla called Willie Pete. They also had the Fort African rainforest, a series of natural habitats where he would have a chance to explore the outdoors for the first time. He could also meet other gorillas. It is time for the Red Raider count and see the names of the students that got the Red Raider prize for the last weeks.
Here are the latest numbers and who was drawn third marking period for a prize for being respectful, responsible, and safe. This week, the second grade had a total of 224 tickets this week, with a semester total of 895. The third grade in Mrs. Sharp's class had a total of 201 tickets this week, with a semester total of 500. The fourth grade in Mr. Dinger's class had a total of 140 this week, with a semester total of 411. Fifth grade in Mrs. Smith's class had a total of 130 tickets this week, with a semester total of 325. And finally, the sixth grade came in with a total of 94 tickets this week, with a semester total of 288. That is a total of 2,690 for the third marking period towards our 10,000 goal. That is a lot of respect, responsibility, and safety. Great job.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
Try my best.
What advice would you give to do your best on the state math test next week?
I would go back to the question. I would go back to the question and fix it.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
I would study at home and I would focus a bit more in class.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
I would study hard and make sure to do your best work and write neat so you can get full credit, and probably write as neat as you can possibly do. And if you have a calculator, use a calculator.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
Probably to study beforehand, if you know what the topics are going to be about, then just study them.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
Maybe not mess around and just focus on the test and take your time.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
My advice is to work hard and just don't get too stressed over it.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
Have some notes about the test.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
To try your best and don't give up.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
Not talk to each other and try your best.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
I would give the advice to learn, pay attention more, stop playing in your desk and stuff, and stop bringing distractions into the class.
What is some advice you'd give on the math state test?
If you don't know the answer to a question, you can stop and then come back to that question.
Just try your best and you'll be okay.
You should probably check if you did all the questions.
What is your advice on how to do your best on the math state test?
If you're on a hard question, maybe take a break and stretch so you can have your mind just take a break.
Yeah.
What is some advice you give on the math state test?
Well, some advice I give is, well, first of all, don't cheat by using a pencil to do Morse code to give each other answers. That's cheating. But let me think. You need to study. That's pretty important, I'd say. Now, rulers maybe.
What advice would you give for taking the math state test?
Probably get a lot of sleep the night before and don't stress out about it.
What advice would you give to do your best on the math state test next week?
I would just say try your best.
We want to congratulate the intermediate school Drumline on their success. The Hornell Intermediate Drumline competed in 2 New York State competitions this season, performing the show written by Miss Betts called the H Train. In the show, the students act as a train where there is a conductor, caboose, and passengers. At the New York State Championships, Hornell Intermediate Drumline received first place. Great job, we are so proud of you. The second graders and Miss Sharps House went to Elmira to the Clemens Center to see the rainbow fish. They had a great time and were respectful, responsible, and safe. Make sure you get down to the library and take out a great book. Don't forget the suggestion box by the office. We want to hear about things you might want to see on WRRS. This brings an end to our broadcast today. Remember to treat others the way you want to be treated, do what you're supposed to do, and keep yourself and others from harm. Okay, say it with me. We are the one and only Hornell Intermediate School. We are respectful, we are responsible, we are safe. We are Red Raider Strong.